Hey, this is Billy from Perma Pastures Farm. Here we are again, and today we have something that I know a lot of people out there are dealing with, and it has to do with a thicket. We're talking vines, we're talking trees mixed into the vines, we're talking about all that sort of thing. So today we have a project where we're going to be taking apart a chain link fence. William and Michelle are going to do 99% of that. And then later on, I'm going to show you a super easy method that if you don't have cows, or rather you don't have pigs, you don't have goats, you don't have all those things right now to clear brush for you, you're going to have to do it yourself. You're going to have to do the role of the pig, as Sepp Holzer says. So today, that's exactly what we're going to get into. I'm going to show you this really cool, simple method that all requires is two people to get it done. When you have a thorny thicket, whether you have just a massive thicket of you name whatever, I'm going to show you today. We are going to show you the easiest way possible to get that done without heavy equipment and with human power and without getting yourself poked too many times.
Okay, so this portion of it really involves tearing down the chain link, which was extraordinarily tough for them because I don't know how long the growth on that chain link fence must have lasted, but William and Michelle made short work by using machete and really just kind of pulling. And you'll find out with a lot of this thicket and vines that it really requires nothing more than just pulling and somebody else chopping at the same time. Now, this other method that we're using here really, it's really derived from other things I've had to deal with doing electric work. All we're doing is really tying this yellow tree rope around there, and I'm doing nothing more than just leaning into it. I'm not even really pulling that hard. While I just add a little bit of tension, or anybody else adds a little bit of tension, another person on the other end, I'm just leaning back, as you can see. The other person on the other end just works at it, just little by little, not working too hard, just chopping away at it, hitting it at different angles, but most importantly, just don't hit the rope, especially if you have a sharp knife. Just keep chopping away, working away at it until, finally it gives way. So there's really not a whole lot of work into it. It's just two people just kind of slowly working. If you need to, just change out. So finally, when it's near at the end of it, it just pulls away. And it's really, it's hard to tell in that position, but really you have probably what initially started, you're seeing the compressed version of it, but that had to be at least 3 square meters worth of thicket.
Okay, now here's the next method involving pretty much the same things you saw in the first method. The only difference is this time we're going to employ the help of a weed eater. Now I think we have a little, I think it's a brush cutting attachment that William added to it. And you're going to see how much faster this goes. And the reason why we're doing the weed eater is because it's something a lot of people already have out there. Or if you don't have, maybe you can borrow it. These are things that are easily acquired. So the first method being nothing more than a machete. Second method being, okay, maybe not everybody has a machete, but at least a lot of people have access to one, and also access to a weed eater. And the third method, and there's infinitely different methods you could possibly use, but the third method could easily involve the same thing, either a weed eater, or instead of me just kind of putting my body weight on it, you could add the benefit, if you have one, of let's say a lawn tractor. Let's say you don't have that. You could easily use your truck. You could use any number of things. But even if it's just one person leaning back on it, as you see in this video, I'm really not doing much work. So what happens now? First of all, we're going to let that stuff dry out for at least a few weeks. And we're going to record this in the future, but it's going to involve really drying it out right now and then doing something that is pretty much the polar opposite of what you're going to see any permaculture designer do. Except this time we're doing it strategically. And that involves the use of fire. We don't make it a habit of burning things around here. And if we possibly can, we want to take all that carbon and eventually put it right back into the soil. But in this case, these piles of thicket are nightmares to deal with. And the cool thing is after we let this stuff dry for a while, we can simply step back, start a fire after it rains. Now we're going to make sure the fire danger is extremely low. And what we're going to do is after it rains a couple of days, believe it or not, those tumbleweeds are going to stay largely very, very, very dry. So when we do start the fire, and we'll show you these tumbleweeds, these massive, 8, maybe 10-foot tumbleweeds in diameter, they'll go up like nothing you've ever seen before. In fact, they go so quickly that we don't have to worry about the fire baking the soil. It's actually sitting on top of the chain link fence that Michelle and William have already taken out. So when it burns, it's going to do it within seconds. Within seconds. This isn't a long burning fire. We won't have any of the problems that you typically have when you do fires. And like I said, these are going to be sitting on the chain link fence that we brought out. In fact, that's the only way you're going to get this stuff off of there, unless you want to take hours and hours and hours trying to clip it away. Okay, so folks, you saw 3 or at least 2 ways in which to go about dealing with your thicket. And there's no shortage of other methods out there. It's just the way we do it. So anyway, if you like what you see, subscribe, tell others about us. This is Billy from Perma Pastures Farm. We'll see you next time.